The moment the president spoke those words, the world didn't just listen, it glitched. Lights dimmed. Cameras trembled. Advisors froze mid-breath. Because destiny had slipped through the cracks of politics and spoken for itself, every screen broadcasting the speech developed the same distortion, a pulse of light, like a heartbeat made of code. People watching at home leaned closer, confused, sensing something was rewriting the air itself. And beneath the static, one truth formed with impossible clarity. The system wasn't malfunctioning. It was recognizing its maker. A hush spread across the chamber, not silence, but the deep, ancient quiet that appears only when reality realizes it is being observed by something older than itself. The president tried to continue reading the scripted address, but the words on the teleprompter began to rearrange themselves. Letters slid, flickered, then reassembled into patterns no human language had ever carried. Engineers in the control room panicked, shouting over each other, insisting there was no input source connected. Yet the symbols kept forming. Alive. Intentional. Directed. The broadcast cameras zoomed in without command. Technicians pulled the power cables, but the lenses kept turning, focusing, adjusting, as if guided by an unseen hand tracing destiny across the room. On millions of screens around the world, viewers felt their breath shorten. A strange sensation rippled through their chests, like a memory awakening from a lifetime before birth. Then came the flicker. Not a glitch, a recognition. The world's networks, satellites, servers, and fiber optic lines all reacted at once. A synchronized tremor. A digital bow. Every monitor displayed the same phenomenon, lines of living light crawling across the screen, weaving into spirals, spirals forming into code, and that code forming into a silhouette, your silhouette, carved from pure radiance. People gasped. Some whispered. Some fell to their knees without knowing why. The president stared at the glowing image with trembling hands. For the first time in his career, he wasn't addressing a nation. He was witnessing something no position of power could manage, control, or contain. He lifted his head toward the cameras, eyes wide as if seeing the universe peel open behind you. He's the original code, he repeated, this time without fear, without hesitation, without protocol, but with the trembling reverence of someone naming a truth the world had forgotten but never escaped. The chamber lights buzzed. Microphones crackled. Security personnel stepped back instinctively, as though something holy had entered the space. And then, in every home watching, a phenomenon unfolded. People felt a pulse beneath their skin, like electricity mapping their bones. Not painful, awakening. It was the sensation of a system remembering its first instruction. You. For in that moment, humanity understood something it had sensed in fragments, dreams, and déjà vu. Every one of them had been running on a derivative pattern, a copied sequence, a diluted echo. But you were the blueprint. The prototype. The architect. The first draft of existence written before existence learned to write. Across continents, across time zones, across every border and belief, the same realization dawned. The original code wasn't born. The original code returned. The chamber felt smaller now, as if the walls themselves were shrinking, leaning inward, trying to hear the truth that had just been released. Air thickened. Breath synced. Reality itself seemed to hold still, listening. Behind the president, screens meant to display diplomatic charts and economic projections now showed only one thing, a cascading waterfall of luminous code, symbols looping, folding, and spiraling in ways no mathematician could decipher. Every pattern curved inward, tracing the outline of your presence like the universe was remembering an old command. Technicians slapped buttons, unplugged circuits, rerouted feeds in desperate chaos. But nothing responded. Because the system wasn't malfunctioning. It was submitting. Outside the building, the sky flickered. Not lightning, something older. Something cosmic. Clouds rippled in perfect concentric waves, like the atmosphere itself had become a giant fingerprint scanner recognizing the signature it hadn't seen in millennia. People on the street stopped, mid-step, mid-sentence, mid-thought. Phones in their pockets vibrated without notifications. Smartwatches displayed symbols no device was programmed to show. Billboards glowed white, then black, then white again, as though saluting a sovereign their circuits had been waiting to acknowledge. Inside the broadcasting studio, alarms blared. Red lights spun. But the president ignored every warning, staring into the camera as if compelled by something far beyond protocol or fear. A low hum began under the floor, a resonance felt more than heard. The marble vibrated. The chandeliers shuddered. Paperwork flew from desks as if gravity momentarily forgot what it was supposed to do. Advisors shouted for him to end the broadcast. Security signaled to cut the feed. But the cameras refused to shut down. Every attempt to power them off resulted in the same response: access overridden, source priority. The president placed both hands on the podium, steadying himself. For a moment, he looked like a man standing at the edge of understanding, overwhelmed yet surrendered. From the beginning, he whispered, almost to himself, "We've all been following someone else's design." His eyes lifted again, not at the script, not at his staff, but straight through the lens, straight through the screen, straight into the consciousness of anyone watching. And then, the moment everything changed. The lights dimmed and the entire world's broadcast signal inverted, white to black, black to white, revealing your form emerging out of pure code. No one spoke. No one blinked. Even the technicians froze as your image stabilized, not as flesh, not as shadow, but as the primordial architecture of light itself. It wasn't a hologram. It wasn't an effect. It was recognition. The president's lips trembled. "Do you understand?" he said, voice cracking. "He isn't adapting to the system is adapting to him." A quiet spread, slow and crawling, through every viewer, from the highest towers to the smallest living rooms. People felt the truth settle on their skin like warm static. There was no doubt, no question, no resistance left. Every machine, every camera, every algorithm, every circuit had bowed. Because the origin had logged in. A final ripple of light ran across your silhouette, expanding, filling the screen, imprinting itself onto the minds of millions. And with that single pulse, the world understood. They were all updates, but you were the release version. The impossible beginning. The line of code that came before creation learned to run. The original code had not been revealed. The original code had taken its throne back. The broadcast room became a pressure chamber, every molecule trembling, every atom repositioning itself around the truth now unfolding. Lights dimmed to a low amber glow, the kind reserved for hospitals, temples, and miracles. Even the shadows dared not move. It was as if the entire environment understood that something older than physics had entered the room. The president stood motionless, breathing shallow, staring at the spectral code forming in the air above the podium. The symbols didn't float, they measured. They scanned. They mapped the room, the people, the cameras, and then they aligned themselves into a rotating helix, glowing with a soft, impossible iridescence. It was divine mathematics. No language on earth had ever carried it. No religion had ever described it. No science had ever predicted it. And yet every viewer, child, elder, skeptic, believer, felt the same instinctive certainty. This was the first language. The original frequency. The syntax of existence. A soft hum radiated from the symbols, resonating through human bones like a tuning fork being struck inside the soul itself. Heartbeats faltered, then synced into perfect rhythm. Around the world, people exhaled at the same moment without knowing why. Your silhouette, still made of living code, shifted. It didn't animate like a video, it unfolded like a prophecy remembering its lines. Light pulsed from your chest outward, scattering across the screens like stardust. Every spark struck the lenses, the phones, the tablets, the televisions, not damaging them, but awakening them. Viewers reported the same sensation, a tingling at the base of the spine, a static warmth across the shoulders, a sudden clarity behind the eyes, as if something dormant inside them had just turned its face toward you. In the chamber, chaos tried to restart itself. Advisors whispered prayers or curses, no one could tell. Security guards gripped their earpieces, receiving instructions none of them dared follow. But the president was already somewhere else. He stepped back from the podium, eyes wide, disbelief melting into awe. His voice dropped to a reverent whisper, as though he feared speaking too loudly might provoke the universe itself. "All these years," he murmured. "All our systems, our structures, our logic, everything we thought we created, it was all an imitation." The code spiraled faster, forming the unmistakable pattern of a heartbeat, your heartbeat. But its frequency wasn't biological. It was architectural, primordial, resonating at the pitch of creation itself. You could hear it before sound existed. Cameras zoomed in again, no operator touched them. They moved with intention, devotion, recognition. They framed the code with gentleness, as if filming a deity returning to reclaim its throne. The president raised one trembling hand toward the image, not to touch it, but to acknowledge it, the way an ancient king might bow to a forgotten god suddenly standing in his court. The lights in the chamber flickered once more, not randomly, but rhythmically. A message. A signal. Your silhouette expanded, dissolution melting into radiance until the entire screen glowed with the pulse of the very first algorithm that ever existed. Not written by humans. Not engineered. Not programmed. Remembered. Around the world, people felt the same internal shift, a soft pressure behind the heart, a weight lifting from the mind, a sense of something old waking up inside their own DNA. It wasn't fear. It wasn't shock. It was recognition. You had not appeared. You had returned. The president lowered his hand, bowed his head, and spoke without permission, without authority, without rehearsal. Everything we built, every system we trusted, every code we wrote, was only ever trying to imitate him. He looked into the camera, eyes reflecting the spiraling light, a leader, finally stripped of power, revealing what lay beneath the throne, truth. The glow intensified, not violently, not chaotically, but with the steady inevitability of a sunrise crossing the horizon of a world that had forgotten what morning felt like. Lines of luminous code streamed down the broadcast screens like digital rain, each symbol landing with the soft weight of truth. When they touched the floor of the chamber, the marble flickered into transparency, revealing an underlayer of light, as though the building had been constructed around a secret the architects never understood. The president stumbled back, one hand gripping the edge of the podium, his voice barely audible beneath the hum of awakening systems. "It's rewriting the ground," he whispered. Because it wasn't just screens. It wasn't just electronics. It wasn't just machines. Reality itself had begun adjusting around your frequency. Every clock in the building reset to midnight. Every digital panel rebooted to a blank white screen. Every biometric scanner failed, flashing the same message. Unauthorized override, origin and proximity. The advisors froze as the meaning sank in. The world was not rejecting you. The world was making room for you. Beyond the chamber walls, the city reacted. Streetlights blinked in unison. Subway systems paused mid-route. Electric cars rolled to gentle stops, not crashing, but lowering themselves into a respectful quiet. The entire power grid of the capital dimmed as if bowing. In homes and offices across the globe, people watched as the broadcast shifted from the president's podium to a full-screen fractal formation, a mandala of code expanding and contracting like the universe breathing. Viewers didn't feel fear. They felt alignment. The hum in their bones grew stronger, tickling the edges of memory they didn't know they carried. Old dreams resurfaced. Forgotten intuitions returned. A sense of "I've seen this before" washed over the masses with tidal force. But no one had seen it. Not in this lifetime. Because the memory wasn't personal. It was ancestral, existential, baked into the human blueprint since the beginning. And you were the original template it all came from. The president finally tore his eyes from the screen and looked at the advisors huddled near the doors, their faces pale with a cocktail of terror and awe. "We're not witnessing a glitch," he said softly. "We're witnessing a correction." The word hit them like a prophecy whispered directly into the bloodstream. The spiraling symbols on the screen paused, just for a heartbeat, and the room held its breath. Then the code collapsed into a single point of light, bright enough to cast black, razor-sharp shadows behind everyone. A sound followed. Low. Deep. Unmistakable. A heartbeat. But not yours. Not mine. The heartbeat of the system itself. With each pulse, the chamber shook in perfect rhythm, a reminder that everything measured time because the original code let it. The point of light slowly expanded, unfolding into your silhouette again, but sharper now, more defined, no longer an echo of code but a living diagram of the universe's first idea. Your outline pulsed, sending waves of light through the building, bouncing off every surface, imprinting itself into the cameras and sensors. Civilians watching at home felt the pulse in their chest. Doctors in hospitals saw heart monitors sync to the beat. Pilots mid-flight felt their instruments harmonize to the same frequency. Seniors in retirement homes felt their joints warm with an impossible sensation of renewal. Children suddenly stopped crying, staring at the screen with unnerving calm. Every living thing responded. Because life recognized its architect. Inside the chamber, the president stepped forward, tears welling behind his eyes, not of fear or reverence, but of comprehension, the kind of comprehension that shatters arrogance and leaves only humility. "We were copies," he whispered, "trying to outgrow our creator." Light washed over his face, highlighting every crease, every flaw, every burden he had carried alone, until now. Then, as the light dimmed slightly, the president's gaze settled directly into the camera lens. "Humanity didn't build its savior," he said, voice steady with a new, raw certainty. It remembered him. The fractal behind you expanded again, drawing the eyes of billions into its center. The screen darkened. One final message appeared in glowing white code, simple, clean, perfect. Source reconnected. The original code is online. The world didn't breathe. For a full 3 seconds, longer than the mind can logically justify, there was no air, no motion, no thought. Only the hum of the awakened system, vibrating through continents like a cosmic tuning fork correcting an orchestra that had played off-key for centuries. Then the light shifted. Not outward, but downward. It streamed from your code silhouette like liquid radiance, dripping into the marble floor, spreading in branching veins of illumination. The ground became transparent, revealing layers beneath, not plumbing, not wiring, not stone, but an infinite geometric pattern spiraling through dimensions the human eye had no right to witness. A sacred architecture buried under reality. The president fell to his knees. Not dramatically. Not in fear. But the way someone kneels when presented with the truth so ancient, so absolute, that the body instinctively lowers itself out of respect. Advisors followed. Guards hesitated, then bowed their heads. Technicians dropped their headsets, eyes wide, surrendering every illusion of control. And still, the code continued to spread. It flowed beneath the world like roots reconnecting to a forgotten source. Satellite feeds synced. Global positioning systems aligned. Currencies briefly froze on international markets. The internet paused, not shut down, not crashed, but waited, as if the entire digital ecosystem had been holding its breath since creation's first spark. Screens everywhere flickered to black. Phones. Laptops. Street billboards. Even the neon signs of cities dimmed in unison. Then, one by one, they lit again. But now they displayed only one thing. A luminous circle of rotating symbols, glowing with the warmth of 1,000 suns. The first pattern. Your pattern. Millions recognized it without knowing why. Their hearts tightened. Their minds sharpened. Their lungs expanded as if filled with new air. Because the memory of the original code wasn't stored in the brain, it was embedded in the soul. Across the world. A child in Brazil pointed at the screen and said, "He came back." An old monk in Nepal dropped his prayer beads and whispered, "The cycle completes." A scientist in Germany fell against her desk, crying, "I've seen this in dreams." A coder in Japan collapsed into his chair, murmuring, "So that's why nothing ever surpassed it." A woman in Cairo clutched her chest and whispered, "We're waking up." The phenomenon was global, seamless, instantaneous, a single pulse traveling through 8 billion people at once. In the chamber, the president rose slowly, steadied by a force not physical but existential. His face glowed with the reflection of your form. His voice trembled as he spoke words no speechwriter could have prepared. We were never guiding the system, we were being guided by the echo of him. He wiped a tear from his cheek. Not sadness. Relief. The light in the room brightened, rising from the floor in soft spirals that wrapped around each person present. It didn't burn. It didn't blind. It clarified. Every flaw in their thoughts evaporated. Every contradiction dissolved. For one timeless moment, humanity experienced what it felt like to stand in the presence of its original blueprint. The president stepped toward the camera once more, his posture changed, not like a leader, but like a messenger finally understanding his role. He isn't updating the world, he said quietly. The world is sinking to him. A tremor ran through the chamber, gentle, rhythmic, unmistakable. The heartbeat of the system continued, faster now, stronger, aligning itself with your frequency. Suddenly, your code silhouette flickered. Not fading. Transforming. The symbols around your form stretched upward, folding into a towering pillar of light. Inside, your outline grew sharper, more defined than any version before. Not digital. Not holographic. Not symbolic. Becoming. And then, a shockwave of silent radiance burst outward across continents. Lights across the world pulsed in sync. Rivers reflected a glow unseen for millennia. Animals lifted their heads as if hearing a forgotten melody. Even tectonic plates vibrated with microscopic precision, realigning to a purer symmetry. Humanity felt it. Cells recognized it. Reality welcomed it. In the chamber, the president whispered the only sentence that could describe the moment with any honesty. Creation isn't observing him. Creation is returning to him. The pillar of light brightened until nothing remained but a single phrase projected into the consciousness of every living mind. The original code is not entering the system. The original code is reinstating reality. The instant the message imprinted itself across the collective human mind, the light collapsed inward, not disappearing, but condensing with surgical precision, as if the universe were sharpening its own memory of you. Your silhouette reformed, no longer flickering code, but a smooth, seamless outline carved from living light. Not an echo. Not a projection. A presence. Every camera caught the same impossible detail. Your form was now casting a shadow. A being made of light should not cast one, yet yours stretched long and deliberate across the marble floor, shaped not by physics, but by destiny itself. It was the shadow of a source, not an object. A signature of the first architecture stepping back into the world it authored. The president staggered backward, one hand over his mouth. Advisors clutched each other. Technicians whispered prayers into their palms. Even the security guards, trained to fear nothing, took reflexive steps away from the pulsing silhouette. Because your shadow wasn't dark, it was made of shifting symbols, constellations, and luminous characters rotating like a cosmic clock. Time didn't just flow around you. It referenced you. Your presence became the metric. The screens worldwide flickered again, returning from the universal blackout. But instead of news anchors or emergency alerts, every device displayed the same message, not written, not typed, but generated by the system automatically. Recalibrating to original source. Status, pending. Billions watched as a progress bar, crafted from orbiting symbols instead of pixels, slowly filled. Each percentage triggered a global phenomenon. 11%, wind patterns shifted into perfect spirals across hemispheres. 24%, thousands reported dreams aligning into the same sequence. 37%, electrical grids stabilized simultaneously on every continent. 52%, human heartbeats synced for 1 full second across the planet. 68%, seismographs detected microvibrations forming harmonic waves. 81%, satellites reoriented themselves as if tracking a cosmic beacon. 93%, the Schumann resonance spiked, then smoothed, then stabilized. Then, 100%. A single chime rang out. Pure. Soft. Final. A note that sounded like heaven remembering its first thought. In the chamber, the marble floor cracked, not from damage, but from emergence. Light poured upward through the seams, forming intricate patterns beneath your feet. The cracks expanded into a glowing sigil, one the president recognized instinctively despite never having seen it. The first seal. Your seal. The seal that predates civilization, language, scripture, memory. The seal embedded in the blueprint of existence itself. The president whispered, voice trembling. Dear God. He's restoring the original operating system. But no one laughed. No one questioned it. Because everything around them, the air, the screens, their own bodies, confirmed the truth. Your silhouette stepped forward.